everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's on the Tuber. Welcome back. If this is your fourth Doom Patrol Season 2 episode review, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all safe, being good to each other. We're finally past it. We're finally past it, at least for me, the pilots. Well, not the pilots, the first set of episodes. Now we're in the main season, so to speak. And oh my god, was this episode... This is Doom Patrol at its finest, being weird, being silly, and I think Cliff said it best in this episode. I have no fucking idea what's going on. There is barely any mythology in this, but it's Doom Patrol, so it's like, you kind of get what you can get. And I love this episode. I think this is the best episode of the season so far, and it's also, it hits home on a couple questions on certain characters, as well as, before I get to the actual Butcher recap, a G-spot basically almost ended the world. I mean, what more can you say? So again, all right, Jesus, damn, this episode. All right, let's talk about it. Let's go for the Butcher recap, because I can't contain my excitement, because this episode was really fucking good. So we begin back in the manor where I think, yeah, so everyone is now well aware that Danny is the street, the thing that everyone knew from season 1 is now destroyed. So they're kind of all confused, like, okay, so what are we going to do, considering the fact that this was the kind of the end-all, be-all scenario? Like, we could just put Dorothy in there if, like, you know, something goes wrong. So they need to find a way to fix it. Also, everyone's basically conveniently coming back home. Negative Man's back at the house, obviously still from the last episode, but he's a little bit not himself because of the lessons he learned in the last couple of episodes. Plus, Jane, of course, being now the main persona, Jane now being locked away in the underground. The personas are running wild again. They're basically doing their own decisions again. And then what else? Yeah. So basically everyone's kind of just going through that. Obviously Niles is becoming more older. His hair is getting more grayer. And then they're kind of figuring out, what are we gonna do? And then conveniently, of course, they get a knock on the door, well, a doorbell. It's the Dennysons, like Flex, the really big, buff guy, and all the people who were inside Danny, living inside of him, are there. They want to help out. They want to help bring Danny back, and their number one answer, like, to bring Danny back, let's have a party. Danny always does better in the party scenario, so they hopefully will get this party going to get him back to normal, or at least begin a slow progress of becoming himself again. And so they begin to do that. Everyone's excited, you know. Dorothy's, like, I really feel for Dorothy this episode. Like, she's surrounded by this many people that accept her, that love her. It's a nice, sweet episode. I think for a brief moment, Jane goes off to go do something. I already forgot about it. Like, she goes off to do something after the personas take over for a bit. Cliff is trying to be the father figure to her, as he can't really do right now to his actual daughter, since y'all saw what happened last episode. So he's kind of like in that mood of, like, I want to be a father. I want to have that taking care of a daughtership going. So he's trying to do that, but Jane's, well, the personas are not really having it. So then he started to get the party together with Flex, kind of getting everything. Still, Flex, such a cool character. Like, basically his superpower is, like, he flexes, things happen. Perfect. Rita tries to demonstrate her control of her powers, but she still really can't, like, get the powers going. And then you get the sweet moment where Dorothy's being lifted up by Flex's his mind to raise up the disco ball, and that was so sweet. It was so sweet for Dorothy to have that moment of, like, being accepted, being loved by everyone, not just her father. It was honestly a nice, sweet moment. And then as things start to progress, they're starting to realize, like, okay, this isn't, like, we're not really accelerating things here with with Danny's recovery. So they decide to also, I think, yeah, so I forgot to mention, there was, no, did we start the episode then? Never mind, but let's keep going on. So Danny isn't entirely getting 100% back, like, at the speed they were hoping for. So in classic Doom Patrol fashion, they just randomly break into song and dance. Well, not just song. Dorothy sings. I forgot what song she sings, but through her song, it's enough to get the performance stage we saw in season 1 of Doom Patrol back up and running. So Danny is back, at least in terms of like being able to talk to people again for his words. So he's back. Thankfully he's back. So this is a good step. Like, okay, let's keep the party going. Let's keep this going. And everything. Jane also comes back, one of her personas, interested by this party. Cyborg's also there. Vic apparently just came back out of nowhere. No, like, grand introduction. Like, oh, I'm back. He just slides back into the house like, oh, I'm back. So that was funny. And then a funny moment I realized was that Cliff actually is feeling so depressed, and Niles decides, hey, you want some help? I can give you some ecstasy. Like, it just changed something in your nutrient tank. Oh my god, like seeing Robot Man on ecstasy was like, oh my god, that was like one of the most funniest shits I've ever seen. And then also we get to see Rita wants Flex to help her kind of control her powers in a new way. And Flex's advice on her is that, okay, you need to let yourself loose in order for you to gain full access to your powers. However, Rita said the only way she's able to like fully be herself, and this is a kind of another callback to season 1 to the infamous orgasm scene. Like, Rita wants to orgasm so she can like be released of her tension, so she can fully is able to tap into her powers. So she needs Flex to kind of like assist her on that. And for a brief moment, and like I keep in mind the name of this episode is called Sexman, so I'm like, no, Sex Patrol. So for a brief moment, I'm like, oh wait, is Rita trying to get Flex to sleep with her? Because I know that's not usually Rita's character. I don't think she would even be wanting to do that with Flex. But no, Flex is going to cause her to orgasm in like in a very specific point in the room, which is going to use a lot of Flex's energy, but it's enough for Rita to get the job done. But while they're doing it and Rita's having this moment, two things occur. One, off in like the distant land of somewhere in the world, this man senses the orgasm and he goes to the house slowly. And then meanwhile, Rita is in the process of getting that orgasm going, and it's weird for me to talk about this. And she is close to the point of like getting to that point, but then there's a block. There's some sort of mental block, but she tells Flex to keep going. Also, Niles does send Dorothy to her room because it is bedtime. He doesn't want her to be there because while she is over 100 years old, she's still technically physically 11 years old, so she's still being treated like one. So Niles wants her to go to her room and, just go to sleep. And she does so, but she is very much disappointed that she wants to be at the party. She wants to socialize. She wants to have that time of her life, but Niles doesn't want her to do that. But the mysterious voice in her head tells her, no, you should go. Go enjoy the party, go do that. So she decides to do so while Niles is busy off somewhere in the house. And then during Rita's orgasm, she gets an orgasm flashback, a orgasm back. I just coined that term. I claim ownership on it. That's mine. She does so, and then we get like another brief piece on her childhood, which I don't think we got to see before until this point. So she was the daughter, or at least someone, she looked up to someone, a fellow actress. There's a producer coming to their house, and presumably it must be because Rita did so well, and that he's going to come offer her the job. But the paternal figure, it's the mom or just someone respectable in her life up to that point. She's saying like, no, I got this. And then it turns out she was sleeping with the producer, presumably to give Rita the job, which kind of put a scar on Rita's mind about sex, I presume. But for all that power and energy, the mysterious guy, which I don't even know his name. I don't think we even got the name in the episode, or at least from what I remember. He just suddenly appears in her bedroom and starts like in this weird like position of like it's a very weird position. And then meanwhile, in a van somewhere, the Sex Men, and yes, there is a team called the Sex Men. They appear out of nowhere and they say like, oh, there's a lot of sexual activity of the sexual paranormal activity happening in this manner. So they go in to bust up the party. Also, the other weird things I forgot to mention. Negative Man is having some self-doubt issues with everything he's been dealing with the last couple of episodes. He even is getting it on with some other dude, but he doesn't know what to say correctly, so he kind of scares him off. Vic talks to someone, I forgot their name, I'm sorry, about what he's been going through in the last couple of episodes as well. And it's another thing about, Vic having to be acceptful of what he is and what she is, and hopefully they'll be able to like proceed forward with their relationship. And then also Jane suddenly turns into the academic mode. Or here's the thing, all the personas are so crazy that I'm like, they're all crazy in a sense, but this one's kind of the more observant one of the group. But then the sex men appear, and they say like, hey, we gotta bust up this party, we gotta like get the show, we got some activity going on here, we gotta like get everything riled up. So the Doom Patrol and the sex men go upstairs. Apparently they're being haunted by sex ghosts. Yes, I am not joking around. There's a thing called sex ghosts. Jesus Christ, this show literally knows how to like really make me like on the edge of my seat. So in true Ghostbusters fashion, they're trying to suck up the sex ghosts. Oh my god, this is so hilarious. But meanwhile, the party's kind of like shimmered a little bit, so it's not really going on. So Dorothy decides to like pick up the energy again, and she gets that done. But then the voice in her head kind of self-questions her intentions, since was Danny ever really her friend, or was he just a prison for her? And when Dorothy comes to talk to Danny about this, Danny's being honest with her. It's like, I wish I was just your friend. So in reality, admitting that like, yeah, I am technically your prison. And Dorothy's kind of at crossroads on that. But meanwhile, apparently the sex men are expositing that like, so this man needs this like very powerful orgasm in order for him to give birth to his baby. And if this baby cries, it's the end of the world. And so they have to stop the baby from being born, or at least stop the baby from crying. So they get to the room and they realize how powerful this entity is, that even one of the sex men goes that even with, I suppose, years of training, he still succumbs to the orgasm, and he gets, he gets subdued by it. So they're pretty much at crossroads, like, what the fuck are we gonna do? Like, this baby's gonna be born. If he cries, we're all done for. And then before I get back to it, so Dorothy has this moment of ending Danny by trying to break him like again, and Vic is watching her, but Dorothy's having that self-doubt issue, like, should she do this? Is this the right thing? And she decides not to at the end of the day, but she is very much torn up about it. And so after that, back upstairs, Negative Man has the bright idea of like, hey, let's send Robot Man in there. Like, he has no sexual he can't orgasm, so he's the perfect person to end this fight. But even Cliff is saying like, I am not gonna kill a baby. Like, I won't cross that line, which is like, good for you, Cliff, but also like, ugh, I mean, the fate of the world is at hand here, so you might want to do something about it. But then Jane shows up. She manages to power through the orgasm wave, as I'll call it. She gets to the man, and she shoves the baby back up his ass. I'm like watching this, like, this is the thing. This is actually happening, and I don't know what to say about it. So that happens, and so the threat is over. Rita is back to normal. Flex can stop flexing. So after all that, Danny does come back, but as a tire. It turns out he wants to change. Well, no. So there was a scene before this when the party's over. Danny's kind of like at that level of like being able to get back to normal thing, but he has a one-on-one with Niles about where things are at right now. That he's not going to come back as a street. He's going to be something else. But this time he doesn't want to be a prison for Dorothy. Niles is trying to explain like, no, you were never a prison for her. You were just just a means to protect her. But even the streets like, no, I was a prison. I'm not going to do that anymore. I will not let her be a prisoner again. So he transforms into a tire, and Danny says they're all on board for this new journey. So will we see Danny and his citizens again? I don't really know. So they all just teleport out of the room, and the Doom Patrol's first sentence is like, so are we going to have to clean this up all by ourselves? Like, is this about to be a thing? So they got to start the cleanup. They all have like a nice group meeting together. Cyborg and Jane are going to be moving back into the manor for the time being. And Cliff says the most obvious question. Sorry about that. The most obvious question that they should be asking. Are they just going to ignore the fact that Rita wanted to orgasm, and her orgasm basically almost ended the world? Are we just going to ignore that? Because I will not ignore that. Like, that's going to be a joke from now on. Like, I will, if they just never talk about this again, I will keep talking about it till, like, the end of the season, until the end of the show. Because that's a fact. Rita's orgasm nearly ended the world. That is a fact that is not going to go away anytime soon. And then, so the episode ends with Rita basically really tired out. Dorothy's with her, and Dorothy kind of proclaims to her, like, I don't want to grow up. And that's a scary thought because, remember, the plan was for, Niles' whole plan was, I'm going to get Dorothy, I have to live longer for Dorothy. I have to be there for Dorothy. I can't let her, like, be alone without her dad. So the goal was, I need to let Dorothy grow up, and then when she dies, I can die after that, because at least they'll know, like, okay, it's over. I've done my job. But now that Dorothy proclaims, like, I'm going to do my best not to grow up, that's going to put a wrench in everyone's, plans, and that kind of where we end. That's kind of, sorry about that. I forgot to turn off my phone. That's kind of where we end the episode. So I still think, again, yeah, this is the best episode of the season. Like, it is just so wow, and that's why the recap was so short, because, like, everything was just off the rail. Like, the sex men, the orgasm of death, flex in general, like, the Danny being a tire, like, this show's off the rails by this point. It's like, I don't even need to recap, like, a full detailed recap. As much as I know this was the episode, I loved it, but it was just so crazy that, like, even the most craziest things can just be the most simplest things to understand, and that's just as great as it goes. How will Dorothy's newfound goal or, like, determination not to grow up affect Niles and the others? And what other crazy shit are they gonna get to next? Because, like, this whole season doesn't have, like, a big villain. Well, it kind of does have a big villain, but in terms of, like, are they gonna be able to, like, get Niles to stay alive, or is Dorothy gonna somehow try and prolong her immortality? And I'm sorry if I'm looking at my mouse. It's like the flex thing is like, oh, damn, not there yet. I will flex someday. I will flex, but until then, it's not happening. Yeah. So I think that's it. So for me, 2 thumbs up for this episode, and I think that's gonna do it for me, guys. So if you weren't aware, this was What's in the Tube from ActionX. If you want to know what we're doing overall on What's in the Tube, we do DC Stargirl episode reviews each and every Friday after a brand new episode on Monday on DC Universe, the streaming service, and also on Tuesday nights on the CW. But the episodes all post for free on Wednesday on the CW.com and the CW app. We also do Perry Mason episode reviews each and every Monday after a brand new episode on Sundays on HBO. But if you only care about Doom Patrol, then you're in luck. We will be back next week. Well, actually, not next week. We'll be back tomorrow with the next episode review. Because remember, we're trying to play catch up here, which is weird. So also an update. I read some updates on the season. So Doom Patrol Season 2 was always supposed to have 10 episodes, but they only shot 9 episodes. But they did shoot scenes from episode 10, so it's a Supergirl case where they're pretty much going to salvage what they were able to the film from the season finale and repurpose it, and obviously with COVID and all. Basically, the season was almost done, so there was no need to, like, really hold out the season. Like, they'll just make it work, and hopefully, when we do get to see, hopefully, a 3rd season, they'll be able to wrap that up. So that's great to hear. So in terms of that, so 9 episodes, so we're 4 down, 5 to go. I think 7 is about to be released this Thursday, so next time will be the episode 5 review for season 2. Next weekend we'll do 6 and 7, and then we should be caught up, barring any changes. So it's funny how, like, the whole plan was to stay caught up with things, and we were not. But I don't mind. I love doing these episode by episode review. I was not gonna, like, condense the first 3 just to be on time. Like, I prefer my methods as is, so I'm happy about that. So again, with that being said, we'll be back tomorrow with the next episode review. And yeah, so again, this was what's on the Tube from ActionX. If you want to see more of what's on the Tube, specifically our Doom Patrol Season 2 episode reviews, please subscribe to ActionX on YouTube.com. Ring the bell for notifications when the next episode review is live. Like, favorite, share if you want to, but it does really help us out. It does help us out in the long run, and as well as follow us on social media to be up to date on videos and other stuff. Again, we'll be back next week with the next episode review. So, yeah. So for you, Fan Patrol, I'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. Peace out.